RPG fans, top 25 PlayStation 4 RPGs. Number 25, Transistor. The advent of a new console generation and a dearth of compelling games in the first few years of the PlayStation 4, so Supergiant Games seized the opportunity to deliver one of the earliest RPG masterpieces on the platform. Transistor innovated on the foundation laid by Bastion, namely the isometric action RPG combat, colorful visuals, and musical duo of composer Darren Korb and vocalist Ashley Barrett that made their breakout hit so memorable. Transistor's defining feature was the turn function system, which allowed the player to slow down time and queue up a bevy of abilities. You could plan the perfect route to clear out a room of enemies, and then unleash chaos, and it never gets old. Supergiant brought back Logan Cunningham, Bastion's narrator, as protagonist Red's unnamed partner, whose soul resides in the massive sword she carries. His commentary on events and growing concern for Red as she fights through the streets of Cloudbank is deeply affecting, resulting in a far more memorable storytelling experience due to their bond. Hades may be their magnum opus, but Transistor proved Supergiant Games wasn't a one-hit wonder. Transistor is personally my favorite Supergiant game, but what's yours? Do you prefer the narrative-driven format of Transistor, or the roguelike approach of Hades and Hades 2? If you haven't played Transistor after playing Hades, you owe it to yourself to go back and check it out for yourself. You won't be disappointed.
Number 24, Dragon Quest Builders 2. Even if they have minimal experience in Dragon Quest or Minecraft, it's surprising how easily Dragon Quest builders can click with players. Its charming presentation and satisfying building gameplay made for a game that was hard to put down. You could build a railcart skyway, hollow out a mountain to create a treasure cave and restaurant, and construct almost anything you could imagine. Then, Square Enix released Dragon Quest Builders 2 in 2019 and blew the first game out of the water. And not just because of the sequel's ability to craft with water, opening up new possibilities. It's the rare sequel that is better in every conceivable way, featuring a wonderful cast, a surprisingly emotional story, improved controls, fewer limitations on size and scale, seriously, the maps are gigantic, and countless new building options. Dragon Quest Builders 2 builds on what made the first game great, polishing it to an immaculate sheen. And now that Square Enix has given Dragon Quest the Minecraft treatment, what's the next genre you'd like to see them try? Give us your thoughts in the comments below.
Number 23, Divinity Original Sin 2. If you're looking for a prototypical formula for the brilliance of the mega hit Baldur's Gate 3, you need not look further than Larian Studios' preceding release, Divinity Original Sin 2. Both feature deep, immersive storytelling, multiple paths and choices, and challenging and strategic turn-based battles. Most of all, DOS 2 does an amazing job incorporating tabletop RPG concepts into a video game. The freedom of choice in every situation is something most RPGs, even those classified as open world, cannot match. It truly enables players to immerse themselves in the world of Rivellon and roleplay. The game's multiplayer features also deserve praise. In an industry where local multiplayer has become a rarity, DOS 2 allows you to experience the game from start to finish with a second player via split screen, or up to 4 players online. Playing with friends allows players to get the full role-playing experience. Whether you experience Divinity Original Sin 2 solo or with an adventuring party, it truly is a divine experience. This has to be the most fun Original Sin since Adam and Eve. What do you think? Are you looking forward to playing the new Divinity game? Let us know in the comments.
Number 22, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. With 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, the masters of Vanillaware proved once and for all that they write as well as they draw. Before the game's release, some questioned whether George Kamatani and crew could pull off what was advertised as an intricate sci-fi narrative told from 13 Natch point of views. After all, Vanillaware's most notable stories up to that point, Odin Sphere and Muramasa the Demon Blade, were decent, but they weren't exactly award winners. In the end, the studio did indeed execute one of the most complex, engaging, and emotionally resonant sci-fi adventures titles in years, plus a damn fun tower defense game to boot. Never doubt Vanillaware. And what about the visuals? Vanillaware's claim to fame? From the nostalgic 80s Japanese backdrops to delicately expressive sprite work, the art is at least among the best the developers ever made. For this reason, it's recommended the PlayStation 4 version, by way of the PlayStation 5, as the ideal way to experience 13 Sentinels. 13 Sentinels has some of the coolest storytelling in an RPG, but it also has giant robots, which makes every game better. So what's your favorite RPG with giant robots?
Number 21, Fallout 4. Fallout 4 might be the most Bethesda game ever made. Taking everything they learned from previous titles, Todd Howard finally realized the post-apocalyptic open world promised in previous Fallouts, with countless places to explore, characters to meet, and side quests to complete. And all of that would be fantastic if the critical path didn't constantly remind you to look for your lost baby. While exploring abandoned vaults or fighting pirates with the robot crew of the USS Constitution, there was always a voice in your conscience saying, "Shouldn't we be looking for Sean? Leave me alone, voice in my head. I want to fight crime as the Silver Shroud." Sure, there are the usual Bethesda quirks of mediocre FPS combat, simplified RPG mechanics, and bugs that can leave you falling through the world map at any second, but you also get tight system-driven gameplay, wonderful characters, and unparalleled environmental storytelling. Fallout 4 does some things wrong, but so many other things right. And if anything bothers you about the game, there's likely a mod out there that can fix it. Speaking of mods, have you tried Fallout London? It's a full conversion mod that uses Fallout 4's gameplay as a base and launches it across the pond like an ICBM. Share your favorite Fallout 4 mod in the comments below.
Number 20, Tales of Arise. Tales of Arise is as anime as all get out. No, seriously. A main character with amnesia who can't feel pain? Check. Said character meets a love interest and, through legitimate plot developments, pulls a burning sword from her breast? You bet. And let me guess, our hero then uses the aforementioned burning sword to serve as the tip of the spear for a grassroots resistance movement to free his oppressed people from the shackles of slavery? Wait, have you already played this one? For all its JRPG quirks, Tales of Arise features charming characters, snappy combat animations, strong side content, an extremely polished presentation, and one of the best soundtracks the Tales series has to offer. Yes, Tales of Arise is anime to the utmost conceivable degree, but even if that is something you generally avoid, we implore you not to miss this stellar game that won our Best Action RPG of 2021 award. Me, I'm a fan of any game composed by Motoi Sakuraba. Do you have a favorite Sakuraba soundtrack? Let us know in the comments below.
Number 19, Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter always suffered from accessibility problems. Anyone can admire the beautiful savagery of the wyverns, elder dragons, and fang beasts, but the series remained niche worldwide because of the dense mechanics, obtuse explanations, unfair hit detection, and unforgiving difficulty. Then, in early 2018, Monster Hunter World happened. The visual presentation and fidelity of the models, followed by the still overwrought but improved menus and quest design, are the first things many noticed. Next was the continuous hunting grounds, teamed with activity, with at the time best-in-series multiplayer. New monsters like Anjanath and Odogaron competed with classic cryptids like Rathalos and Diabolos as some of the best hunts in the game. The series, many loved since its busted PSP incarnations, kept everything great about the mission-based hunting, gathering, and crafting multiplayer RPG gameplay, but now can be recommended with far fewer caveats and easily find a game online. Monster Hunter finally left its handheld niche to thrive in the global stage, all thanks to its PS4 version. So what are some of your favorite hunts in Monster Hunter? I always enjoy the Kula hunts, but the worst is always in order.
Number 18, Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 is something of a conundrum. It has a little bit of everything, so while you might not enjoy every aspect, there are bound to be things you like. In a step forward, Final Fantasy 15 attempted to give players more choice through its dialogue, photo-taking, and journal-sharing elements. On top of that, the battle system is incredibly addictive, and the dungeon exploration and camping segments are especially entertaining. Of course, Final Fantasy 15 isn't without narrative hiccups. Lunafreya, anyone? But let's not ignore that the game had some standout moments and characters. Aranea is a great Dragoon, Arden is a fascinating antagonist, and both Ignis and Noctis' character development are worth a playthrough alone. Arguably, the strongest narrative element is the focus on a group of guy friends out on a road trip. The RPG is enthralling whenever it leans wholeheartedly into this conceit, making its powerful final moments all the more harrowing. Despite all of its weaknesses and wasted potential, Final Fantasy XV's strengths still shine brightly. Hey, do you remember when Stand By Me and the Final Fantasy Prologue mashup broke the internet back in 2016? If you could pick a pop song today to include in the next Final Fantasy soundtrack, what would it be? Share your ideas in the comments below.
Number 17, Undertale. The PS4 has many great RPGs, but I'd wager that none were more influential or more influenced than Undertale. Toby Fox wears his love for the Mother series firmly on his sleeve, a comparison that could bury any lesser game than the masterwork he single-handedly developed, with Sprite R by Temmie Chang, of course. But Undertale is so much more than a comparison to its countless progenitors. This meta-narrative adventure filled with oddball characters and non-sequiturs is equal parts subversive as it is heartwarming. This is to say nothing of the unique bullet-hell battle system, wherein you can kill or spare any enemy in the game, your choices having grave implications on how the story unfolds. These idiosyncratic stylings and subversive concepts form the backbone for many games that came after, most notably Omori, and the remaster of Moon, the Western release of which was likely enabled by how it notably influenced Fox. Few games on this list can claim such influence while still remaining singular experiences. That's what Undertale ultimately is, unlike anything else. Personally, I'm waiting for every chapter of Toby Fox's follow-up Deltarune to release before I play it. But what about you? Are you playing Deltarune as it comes out? Let us know in the comments.
Number 16, Elden Ring. Here's a recipe for you, dear listeners. Mix 3 parts Dark Souls with 1 part George R.R. Martin and 1 part insert open world influence. Set your time for just longer than you're comfortable with, and out of the infernal flames of your kitchen oven shall emerge a masterpiece. Elden Ring is the spiritual successor to the Soulsborne Collective, but expands on those foundations while also being very bold in the new direction it takes. Most of these aspects are crafted to perfection, such as the rewarding exploration of lands between, and the refined combat mechanics. Miyazaki's storytelling is perhaps an acquired taste, but the scope of the game's greater narrative is mind-boggling. Some players may prefer the smaller, more focused approach to the Souls games, and others may find the repetition of the non-shard-bearer boss fights to be a misstep. However, Elden Ring is a masterclass in creating an atmospheric environment, highlighting a certain melancholic beauty that shines through despite its decaying world. So what are your favorite parts of the Soulsborne games? For me, it's always the tried and true Miyazaki classic, the humongous Poison Swamp.
Number 15, Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 is often accused of not really having its own identity. It lacks the tight level design of Dark Souls, the immersive atmosphere of Bloodborne, and the open spaces of Elden Ring. But for many, it hits the sweet spot of everything they want in a Soulsborne title. Simply put, it cuts out the fat and does what the series does best better than any of the rest, namely, the bosses. Not only is there nary a weak spot with these incredible battles, but the DLC gives us not one, but 2 best in the whole series in Frida and Gale. Dark Souls 3 leads into the series' strength, but still retains the core of what made a great Soulsborne title. It's an excellent example of lessons learned and a high point for From Software. In the last few years, Souls-like seem to be moving away from tighter experiences into more open worlds. Which do you prefer, the freedom of a game like Elden Ring's or the focus of the Dark Souls series? Give us your thoughts on that game design question in the comments below.
Number 14, Dragon Age Inquisition. Despite releasing relatively early into the console's life cycle, Dragon Age Inquisition holds firm as one of the PS4's standout titles. Thanks to their shiny new Frostbite engine, EA-owned developer BioWare was able to show us more of the world of Thedas than in the series' previous 2 titles, Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2. Fan-favorite characters such as Leliana and Broodmother Varric returned in an overarching narrative much grander in scale than its predecessors. The cast of new characters are also a delightfully intriguing bunch, from Vivian, the noble court mage, to Sarah and her friends of Red Jenny. While Origins established the lore of the series' eponymous Dragon Age, and Dragon Age 2 set the stage for the conflict between mages and Templars, Inquisition delved deeper than ever before into the connections between the realms of Orlais and Ferelden. The debate on what direction the combat system in the series should take will rage on, but at least in Inquisition, we had a castle. Actually, Dragon Age Inquisition was the first game I got on PS4. How about you? Tell us your first PS4 game in the comments below.
Number 13, Final Fantasy XIV, Endwalker. At this point, what more can be said about Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker? We've praised its music in both the end-of-year features and rhythm encounter multiple times. The supporting cast and writing are second to none. Final Fantasy XIV in general always fares well in Caitlin's reviews on the website, and the overwhelming positivity amongst the team here earned it a special page layout in our review card collection book. What makes Endwalker a standout experience goes beyond the expansion itself. Everything from its story to gameplay is a refinement and culmination of what came before. It represents the best Final Fantasy XIV has to offer by taking us to new heights, sometimes depths, yet always remaining faithful to what's come before. In so many ways, Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker is a remarkable achievement and a beautiful finale to its 10-year tale. So, have you heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with an expanded free trial? Of course you have. Everybody's heard this meme. But what's your favorite Final Fantasy XIV meme?
Number 12. Nier Replicant version 1.224744871139. The original Nier is a narrative masterpiece. With a fabulous cast of characters, highlighted by the soft and thoughtful Emil and the brash and sensitive Cain, the story dares to go places, ask questions, and push the player in ways that few other games are willing to do. There's so much heart and so much feeling that every playthrough feels like a new gut punch instead of a tedious requirement, and the soundtrack is out of this world. But on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, the game doesn't play very well and looks downright ugly, so a lot of people just didn't play it. Thankfully, along came Nier Replicant version 1.224744871139 to fix almost every issue people had with the original. It also brings some additions that make this not only the definitive version of Nier, but in many ways a spiritual sequel to its actual sequel with the new ending E. It still might not match its successor, but it's awfully close, and that's an incredible accomplishment all on its own. Over the years, the Nier series has taken the concept of New Game Plus to new heights. What gameplay convention would you most like to see Yokotaro play with in the next entry? Share your thoughts about that below.
Number 11. Hades. Hades is a roguelite with several RPG elements and a shining design philosophy. There are dozens of weapons, boons, skill combinations, and strategies for players to sample in Hades, but the balance of risk and reward is so finely tuned that even for roguelike disdainers, Hades is excellent at teaching players how to succeed. But even better is how Hades expertly weaves story and gameplay together, with cascading interactions, side quests, and new characters appearing with each of Zagreus' attempts to escape the ancient Greek underworld. Hades is a splendid game for action RPG fans and hardcore speedrunners, but especially so for art connoisseurs. Artist Gen Z's character designs are expressive, radiant, and mostly faithful adaptations of myth, and people are thirsty as hell for these gorgeous immortals. I can't wait to develop peculiar romantic crushes on even more gods and goddesses in Hades too. RPG fans, you know I'd go to hell and back for you. And I have, in this game. Tell us your favorite weapon in Hades in the comments below. Me, I'm a Shield of Chaos guy, especially with Zeus's lightning.
Number 10. Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon. It seemed both a joke and a pipe dream when Sega announced Yakuza would go a turn-based route. Moving away from Kazuma Kiryu, the beating heart of the series, could have been a disaster. But the capable writers at Ryoga Gotoku created a whole party of intricately written characters with their own quirks. These include the surprisingly sunny-natured main protagonist, Ichiban Kasuga, who is, in many ways, the stoic Kiryu's polar opposite. Combat may feel like a work in progress, but the Dragon Quest-inspired job system, where your characters take up literal occupations people in Tokyo might have, offers plenty to play with. Everything's wrapped up in a story that's easy to get attached to, humorous, and relevant to the explorations of modern social situations. Despite creator Toshihiro Nagoshi's departure from Sega, RGG showed the series may look different, but it still has that song of life inside. The 7th installment may be the end of Yakuza, but it still breathes fire like a dragon. So, time to choose. Who's the best main protagonist of the series? Ichiban or Kiryu?
RPGs. Number 9, Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 blew the doors open for the Yakuza, like a Dragon franchise. For newcomers, it was the perfect entry point, portraying Kiryu's early days roaming the streets of Kamurocho while introducing the recurring cast and game mechanics without assuming familiarity. However, those with Yakuza familiarity were in for endless Easter eggs and plot surprises across this prequel chapter. Whereas many prequels struggle to tell compelling stories and let audiences already knowing what happens next, Yakuza 0 thrives by presenting believably different versions of qualities we're used to and having them tussle around a standalone plot that may well be the franchise's best. Seriously, who would have thought that a dispute over a tiny empty lot would blossom into a gang war with far deeper stakes? On top of this, Majima's arc took him from a silly side character to a gaming icon and arguably the heart of this entry. There's a reason we're ranking this as the best Yakuza game on the PS4, and it had all of them up to Yakuza 6. And speaking of masterpieces, I still can't get I Wanna Be Your Girl from the Cabaret Club minigame out of my head, and it's been years. What are some of your favorite songs from the Yakuza series? Share your favorites in the comments below.
Number 8, Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium is, first and foremost, a PC game, heralding back to the Infinity Engine classics and the dialogue-heavy Planescape Torment in particular. But with its lack of mechanical complexity, it plays perfectly fine on the big screen with a gamepad. And with the outstanding additional voice acting the Final Cut version adds to the mix, the sharp, evocative, and sheer volume of writing the game contains was tailored for a more console-friendly experience. Disco Elysium's commercial appeal may not reach that of some of the more traditional RPGs on this list, but it opened a large set of developers and players to the potential of heady gameplay based on primarily swinging words rather than swords. It adapts a mind and body bending tabletop character system to its own freely experimental and player-driven ends, while immersing us in a world of lucid political analogies and intangible spiritual sensations. The NPCs are a delight to pick at with whichever schizoid persona you've cultivated for Harry Dubois, our starring tragic clown. As for me, I like to play Harry as an idiot super cop because I never get to be stupid in real life, right? Guys? Hello? So, is Disco Elysium one of the best games ever written? Tell us your favorite written games in the comments below.
Number 7. The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 was the first game many played on the PS4 that felt like the first defining RPG of its generation. The scope and production level single-handedly proved the worth of a new console, with seamlessly massive environments and rich attention to visual detail. The first time riding from the expansive wasted plains of Velen to the vibrant streets in Novigrad, without a second of loading time, feels like a magic trick. Technical marvels aside, the game also had some of the strongest heart of any of its contemporaries, especially other Western RPGs, which often trade dramatic character development for the promise of more sandbox-like agency. The Witcher 3 effectively merged both. Geralt is a brilliant mix of pre-scripted and player-driven writing, and his dynamics with the supporting cast come off as a nuanced and natural, even without any knowledge of the previous games or books the world is based on. The Witcher 3 set a new standard for RPG writing, quest design, and open-world aesthetics that we're still basking in today. So the question for today is, are you up for a game of Gwent?
RPGs. Number 6, Horizon Zero Dawn. Prior to the E3 2015 reveal of Horizon Zero Dawn, hearing that Guerrilla Games, at that point known for the Killzone franchise, were developing an RPG left many feeling skeptical. However, upon seeing the game's direction and gameplay, they knew that Horizon would be a must-play. And to say the game did not disappoint would be an understatement. It became a huge hit, and one of the best PS4 exclusive titles. Horizon's protagonist, Aloy, quickly became a mainstay in Sony's marketing, and a fantastic case of a female protagonist done right. The story and lore of the post-apocalyptic world are incredibly deep and fascinating, making the often mundane task of exploration rewarding and alluring. Combat is a perfect balance of challenge, strategy, and variety, and Horizon also excels in its visual design, especially in the variety of machine enemies Aloy encounters. Horizon Zero Dawn raised the bar for open-world action RPGs, and its influence can be seen in many games since then. It's a true gaming masterpiece. Personally, I think one of the best things about the Horizon series is that it moved away from the classic post-apocalyptic wasteland trope and made their open world into a stunningly beautiful and lush place. What are some of your favorite post-apocalyptic worlds? Share them in the comments below.
RPGs. Number 5. Final Fantasy VII Remake. The magnitude of a release like Final Fantasy VII Remake, both as the culmination of 2 decades of fan expectations and the first entry in an ambitious trilogy, is unlike anything else in gaming history. That it managed to live up to this legacy is a true triumph. Its masterful intertwining of turn-based and action combat made even RPG traditionalists turn their heads, and orchestrated versions of classic tracks brought chills down our spines. But where Remake shines most is its presentation of Final Fantasy VII's iconic ensemble cast, with a quality of writing and voice acting that puts past entries in the compilation to shame. While there has been endless debate around its approach to storytelling, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who didn't fall for these characters all over again. While Final Fantasy VII Rebirth would go on to improve upon every aspect of this game, and then some, Remake remains a compelling first chapter that captures the essence of what made the original's Midgar romp so enthralling. And what about you, RPG fans? Do you want to see Square Enix do big, sprawling remakes of classic Final Fantasies, or focus on new stories and ideas? Let us know in the comments below.
Number 4. Bloodborne. Bloodborne is the perfect blend of Victorian Gothic horror and cosmic horror, all housed within a beloved Souls framework. Stylish, brutal combat, with increasingly creative weapons, serves as the feather in the hunter's cap. Yet the strangely familiar streets of Yharnam and the otherworldly monstrosities ensure Bloodborne remains unforgettable in all aspects. As if hunted by the ghost of Robert W. Chambers and H.P. Lovecraft during the development, From Software brought shape and form to cosmic horror, a testament to their creative mastery. As the pinnacle of horror RPGs, Bloodborne stands as an enigma in gaming. Every battle, map, item, weapon, character, and gear are distinctly memorable, as if the players were cursed to never forget their nightmarish battles with the Cleric Beast, Father Gascon, and Lady Maria. The unsettling world of Bloodborne feels like a distant nightmare that continually entices us to return. With no modern port in sight, the pilgrimage back to Yharnam becomes more difficult by the year. I follow one rhyme when playing Bloodborne. Choose the thready cane, use it the rest of the game. But what's your favorite trick weapon?
Number 3, Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5 Royal is an enhanced version of the acclaimed 2016 title that meaningfully adds 20 extra hours to a 100-hour title. It's a game so nice that many fans bought it twice. In a nutshell, Persona 5 has you living a double life like Sailor Moon or Spider-Man, taking the role of an ordinary student by daylight and fighting evil by moonlight as the elusive masked heroes known as the Phantom Thieves. But more generally, it's the Persona series' ability to infuse RPG mechanics into real-world settings that makes it immediately relatable in a way that fantasy titles typically aren't, with monsters from various earth cultures and myths, and magic more carefully explained as psychological, metaphysical manifestations. The game plays like a real-world daydream, where you and your friends can hang out in a coffee shop one minute and save the day the next, mixing the ordinary with the extraordinary. Though the real fantasy is our hero fitting so much into their daily schedule. Atlas Games has a habit of releasing updated versions of their games relatively soon after their release. We have Persona 5 Royal, Persona 4 Golden. Do you like these expanded versions, or would you prefer them to avoid the double dipping? Share your thoughts about that in the comments below.
Number 2. Dragon Quest XI S, Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. Dragon Quest means comfort to a lot of people. It is a series that knows when to stand firm as a metal slime, but never rests on its mini medals. Dragon Quest XI S, Echoes of an Elusive Age is a perfect example of this. Familiar monsters roam its expansive world that can be engaged in traditional yet thoughtful turn-based battles. An endearing cast of characters, We Love Sylvando, and classic Dragon Quest-style vignettes make it impossible not to become invested. Despite being a massive, fully 3D RPG released in 2017, Dragon Quest XI even has an explorable world map. There is no end to the joys and surprises you will find in Dragon Quest XI. It truly is the quintessential Dragon Quest experience and one of the best purchases you can make for the PlayStation 4. I put over 100 hours into Dragon Quest XI. Talk about a time killer. Or should I say, a slime killer. Tell us your favorite Dragon Quest memories or your favorite slime puns in the comments below.
Number 1. Nier Automata. Who knew a follow-up to 2010's strange yet heartful jankfest Nier would become one of the most influential games of the PS4 era? Against all odds, Nier Automata launched into the stratosphere as a masterpiece in every sense of the word. With dramatic set-piece battles, mind-bending genre shifts, and one of the most banger opening lines to grace the medium, Nier Automata remains an unforgettable experience from minute one. Thanks to Platinum Games, Nier Automata managed to dodge Yoko Taro's gameplay curse, and instead treated the world to a stylish and exciting character action RPG that looks, feels, and plays wonderfully. From the gorgeous and haunting soundtrack that tugs on the heartstrings to the bizarre, philosophical story laden with twists and turns, the game excels on every front to become a highly polished gem. Nier Automata proves that sometimes madmen just need a little extra time and money to produce a generation-defining work of art. And that brings us to the end of the top 25 RPGs on the PlayStation 4. If you enjoyed this list, please check out all the other amazing features on the website. And please feel free to suggest any other feature that you think would make an amazing video.